guys, welcome back to another episode of Billionaire Podcast. And today I've got a special guest, my cousin Charlie.
Billy, how are you, mate? Pleasure to be here.
Thank you for coming on, man. We've known each other for a long time, but I've never asked you what sparked your interest into Pokemon cards.
Yeah, well, obviously as a kid, I grew up with it. Probably, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years old, whatever I was back then. I could have been a bit older.
Yeah.
When it was on Cheese TV in the morning.
Yeah, I remember that, man. I remember that.
Sneaking in right on time. Only one thing on our minds. Through the door to another reality. Any place, anywhere you want to be.
So there was that, the Dragon Ball, even Digimon back then. But yeah, Pokemon was always something that I liked as a kid. You go to primary school and, you know, when the first trading card set came out, the base set.
All the kids will be losing it at school. What's going on? Oh, this thing has got this card, thing has got that card.
Well, it was the latest or the greatest thing at the time, you know, for kids our age. And yeah, like there was a schoolyard thing, there was the trading stuff, it was exciting, but obviously you grow up and you grow out of it. But yeah, like it comes back along and
nostalgia, huh?
The nostalgia hits, and then you get like little events and things that pull you in, such as like games that they might bring out or whatever it is at the time, and you sort of get roped back into the trading cards again. And yeah, these days it's become a bit of a kind of a finance investing thing as well, which piqued my interest at the time.
Yep.
So yeah, that two passions of mine just got brought together, and I got back into it about 2016, I believe now. So and then haven't looked back since. But now I've taken the step of actually doing it full time as a business, which is a bit different.
I remember when you were just about to start it, and you told me, Billy, I'm gonna start this business. I'm gonna start a Facebook page. You know, I joined it, and then since I joined it, I remember like when I joined it, you had like 20 people on it, man. And now you got like over 2,500 people, and you've got a website, you've got a YouTube channel. Like it's all happening, man. It's good to see.
Yeah, no, it did. It did grow pretty quick. And again, you know, what I built is a niche community focused on, you know, the markets and investing. And at the start, it was, you know, the store was the means because I didn't work for a couple of years. I took a bit of time off. Long story short, I used to sell cars. The C19 debacle happened and I had to close the business down. It was just my decision anyway because I didn't see a future in that industry. Took a bit of time off, did a bit of study, did a bit of travel, and I got back. I'm like, what am I going to do? And the first thing I'm like, I got a bunch of cards sitting there. I might just give that a go. And, you know, that's when I told you I was going to make the page, started from nothing and, like planted that seed. And now it's, grown into a good little niche community that's, been a profitable and exciting business venture for myself.
Mate, it's really cool. I remember having these video calls with you while you were in like Portugal and traveling overseas while we were getting locked down and like bashed by the cops. It was a smart idea for you to go when you did, and it would have been really like nice to just go out, have some reset time, come back, get focused, and then start a new thing. And watching you do that, I was just like, God damn. I killed it, mate.
Yeah, I felt like I had to get away. After what we went through, again, was not expected. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But like you just sort of think like, a lot of questions went through my head, and I just wanted to sort of figure out what was going on, you know, within the world and even myself. You know, like life's it's got to be more to life than this, and I want to know, you know, if this is going to happen again, or like how do I get out of this, position where I'm not stuck again. You know, like that was what was going through my head at the time. And look, I started, reading up about different investments like crypto, and obviously I was already into trading cards and already had started a business before. So I had all these things running through my head. And like the next logical thing when I got back from Europe after 6 months was, I'm going to start a trading card business.
Yeah, because around the time when you said you were starting a trading card business, I was like, I'm going to start a podcast.
Yeah.
And then, it's like, it's cool.
That's it, man.
Yeah, because we were talking about, what can we do that can bring joy to our lives that can also, maybe bring in some money. And I don't know how much money this podcast has brought me. It probably hasn't really brought me any money. It's just been costing me money. But, you know, I'm going to keep doing this and we'll see how it goes. And I enjoy it and it's a bit of fun and you know, we get to have a bit of a yarn and release it. So it's good. You know?
Well, look, even for me, it was never about the money. Obviously, I needed something to live off. So, yes, I wanted to make a living, but that's all I thought it would be. And again, I wanted to focus, like Cardonomics was sort of put together by my love of trading cards, Pokemon, and economics.
Well, that's right. That's what, and that's the conversations that we used to have. Like over the phone, we'd be talking about like when I interviewed Olga, we were talking about WD Gann and you know like astrology is kind of like how astrology behind the scenes can actually dictate when these cycles like occur. So,
there is that facet of you know financial astrology, and I did discover Olga and. You know, read a bit of her work and did a couple of her courses, which are very interesting. But at the time, I just wanted to sort of dig up every little bit I could and look under every rock in a sense, just so I didn't want to leave any stone unturned. So, like, I wanted just to discover, you know, what's out there and see how I can put that together. And again, you don't have to use everything, but it's good to know these things, that it's be aware of it. And then I just said I'm going to do something different, and you know what can I do with trading cards and you know market cycles, and I've tried to put them together as best I can.
Man, it's a good niche.
Well, no one's really done it, so I'm like, it's pretty cool to do something that no one's really done in the way I've done it, and you know the result is you know the bit of the content I've done. I started on Instagram doing you know written content because I wasn't set up for video. I just got back from Europe. I'd sold my house, like I had to move back with my old lady till I figured out what I was going to do. So I didn't really have the space, but. Yeah, I figured it out, and once I bought a house and settled in, I started doing YouTube,
I love the name, bro. Yeah, I love the name Cardonomics. Sick. No one took it, you know. It's yours. Yeah, it's kind of like Billionaire, bro. I thought someone would have taken it.
Yeah,
it's for me, and that's for you. Man. That's the way
everything happens for a reason.
Hey, I was going to ask you. Do you remember the first card that you ever collected? What was the first card?
I remember the first card I pulled. I was in Kmart. I scrounged up my pocket money. You know, Pokemon was all the rage at the time. And I remember buying it at the counter in the gaming section, and I got the holo Gyarados from base set. That was my first holo.
Wow.
So, yeah, those memories have stayed with me, you know, this long, and I still remember that day. So you can see, like, it at the time, like, it did leave an imprint on me. Nice. So, like, it's no surprise to me that I've now gone back into the industry and done what I've done. So, yeah, no, it's been cool.
My first card the holo card that I ever pulled, Raichu.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, fuck, what's Raichu? You know, I'm like, oh, Pikachu's evolution. Like, what's going on? And then it was 60 HP. So I was like, oh, that's pretty low. Like, what's going on with this card, you know? But it's holographic. So I'm like, mad. And then one of my mates, so-called mates, right? He's like, oh, that's a shit card. You want to swap for this one? And he had a Doug Trio. And the Doug Trio was like not even holo, right? And it was 70 HP. And he goes, bro, this is a better card. It does more damage and it's a higher HP. We have to swap. And I'm like, but I don't want to swap, you know? He's like, oh, and then I think he gave me like that and another card. And he's like, yeah, I'll give you 2 cards. So I'm like, all right. And then he built up a massive collection of cards. Like he had like 50 holos. And then his mum sold it at a bloody garage sale for like $30.
There's karma for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
But no, I think even growing up, like there was never that financial aspect tied to it. Like, yes, your Charizard was worth a little bit of money.
But we're kids watching Cheese TV, bro.
You don't care about that, you know? Like you just collect what you liked, or if numbers meant something, or played the game, whatever it was. But it wasn't really until, I call it the speculation period of Pokemon, where you started getting speculators coming in. Yeah. People that don't care about the game, they just care about the financial gain. So that's what true. That's what
draws up the prices more.
Well, that's what allows me to look at that data and allows me to use market cycles, because then it becomes a speculative asset.
Just like everything else.
Just like everything else that's speculated on. So, because you can't really do much with something that's not. So when that happened, and again, the peak of that would have been that, you know, Logan Paul boom during 2020 or whatever it was. So, you know, that brought a lot of spotlight to the hobby and a lot of, you know, the right and wrong people. So, but yeah, that brings in that aspect. It brings in the money with it. But those people come with the money and they also leave with the money. So that's why you get these up and down.
Peaks and troughs.
Exactly right. Yeah. So, yeah, just me looking at that from a data perspective is what I wanted to sort of show people and sort of discover and create with that Cardonomics brand. And yeah, look, it's very experimental. I seen you pull up some charts before that I experimented with, but I found that a lot of it, a lot of the core principles that I've applied, from other things, has worked with Pokemon. So it's been pretty exciting for me to build this stuff and create this stuff and show it to people. Although it's not a huge audience, but there's still people that, the my niche little audience I've built that
you're giving people
that.
a different angle that is non-existent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's pretty important.
Yeah,
And especially important for the people that are investing a lot of money into it.
Well, I just think,
because when I listen to your stuff, right, and then because I listen to a couple of other people's like things just to suss out what other people are doing, and they're all just talking whatever they feel, bro, and like whatever they kind of like think. It's not like backed up or kind of like there's no like logic.
There's no data. There's no thought process.
There's
people
none of
are
that.
guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And even a lot of the bigger content creators now, like I don't see them doing anything that's like methodical or has any background or data backing up what they're saying. And all I see is people shilling stuff for whatever reason. And everyone's got their ulterior motive for why they're doing things. And again, you might see it or you might not. But I've never really seen anyone really get up there and actually, experiment with the things I am, which I believe the bigger market cycles outside of Pokemon, hence like you could be your land cycles or your stock markets or whatever cycles I want to look at and what correlation they might have in Pokemon, because a lot of that money can filter into various assets. So I'm like, well, what is filtering into Pokemon? How much of it? And I'm just looking at everything, holistically and seeing what I come up with because it hasn't been done before. So
I like it. It's very smart and no one's doing it. So, like you just keep doing it. That's what I'd say.
I'm trying. And again, it's like experimental. There's no rule book. There's no playbook for this. It's just what comes to my head. And
I reckon more people will flow to you as this gets more and more serious and people have more money into it. Then they'll be like, okay, well, I need a more in-depth analysis of what's going on. Were there any unexpected challenges when you first launched Cardonomics?
Of course, like, you're building a page from nothing. You got no audience. So it's like, how do I get people to, see my page or what I'm doing? So, there's a lot of marketing, you would call it. I did a lot of sales. I did a lot of things at cost price or, at no profit to me just to market myself because I see the value in, marketing myself that way. It's not always about making money. I know when I build, a brand and a business that, that's the cost sometimes it's going to take to get my name out there. So I did a lot of that. I worked light, but I still, pushed my name out there, which, ways I knew, how to market myself. And I was doing a lot of content to no one, asking questions that were never answered. So pushing through that, feeling, obviously, pushing through that sort of thing is, I think, where a lot of people probably give up or get stuck. But, once you push through and you start getting a few people going, it motivates you to make more.
Of course.
And then, all of a sudden you start, like you said before, building a website, getting on different social platforms. And you find your niche audience. And again, it doesn't take a lot of people, and I've proven that. I don't need 100,000 subscribers or people on my page to have a profitable business or, tell people my opinions or show them my content. So
slow and steady, mate.
Yeah, well, the people that want to see it or listen to it and share it will do that. And it's going to be more of an organic growth to me trying to push it in front of people that don't want to really see it. So
that's right. Organic growth is the most important thing. Both of our channels have a relatively similar subscriber base, and we've been slowly building it up. And I think that's the most important thing. Sometimes you see people that blow up really quickly and then they kind of crash and burn. I'd rather just slowly just build up and then just keep working at it. And there's nothing better than organic growth, man. That's I reckon 100%. What motivated you to start the Cardonomics 33 YouTube channel?
Yeah, again, it was just another platform to get my content out there. And obviously in a world, day and age where people like to consume through viewing, videos, it's probably the biggest thing right now.
Yep.
So I knew that if I wanted more people to see my stuff, that I would have to, eventually do it. But the thing I didn't account for or expect was, the business side of things to grow as big as it did. So then it become, an act of,
juggling,
balancing time and where am I going to focus on. So look, it's the YouTube journey. I did make a fair few videos, but it come to a point where I'm like, well, you know, how much time can I put into this? And then I found like TikTok was a lot more effective of sort of getting information out there, and it took me less time, and I was getting, you know, results that way. So
TikTok's great.
yeah, I'm still learning as well. Like this is all, you know, new to me. So
Same
again,
here.
I'm not an expert on doing
No,
content on
bro.
that, and I'm still trying to figure it out. And that's the whole like half the fun for me. So
We're two ethnics trying to learn social media, bro.
exactly. And yeah, I can go make content for the views. I can go and make it to try and attract, you know, views and subscribers and that. But again, I'm like, what does that amount to? Does that help what I'm trying to build? You know, like, am I really going to focus on numbers when it might not, it might not amount to my goals or might help me accomplish what I'm trying to do here? So I focus less on those numbers and more on attracting the right people and putting the information that I want out there. So again, whether it's right or wrong, I do not know. I'm not here to say that, but I'm still trying to figure out the best way to accomplish the goals I set out to do.
Yep.
And just tweak it along the way. And again, look, I think I've found success to an extent. I've done pretty well, you know, with the business and that.
Yep.
But I'm still trying to better myself and the content I do. And yeah, like the premise of that's always been to try and help people understand the markets better so they can make better decisions. So the intent there has always been to help others. It's not about taking away. So I think that's really helped me as well. And people see that's genuine. I will hope they do. And yeah, a lot of people resonate with that. So yeah, I just kept doing that and not making it about the views or that. And yeah, if it happens, it happens. But I'm not going to be so hard on myself if I don't have 100,000 subscribers. It's not like...
Well, you got to remember, you're very early in your journey of this. We both are. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So there's no overnight success. Like,
oh, definitely not. I know that firsthand.
Yeah.
It's a grind.
We got to grind. We got to grind. It's the hustle, man. So in regards to like running your business and then doing doing all the content, like how do you balance that? Like, is it, do you find it's hard, like draining? Because like even for me, I run a full-time painting business, and then I come home after working all day, I'll sort out whatever I got to sort out at the house, and then I'll try to do like 4 hours worth of CapCut. And you got me onto CapCut too.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I'll be making reels, or I'll be editing a pod. Like I'll be editing this one during the week, next week. And it's just like, sometimes I feel beyond tired, man.
Yeah.
It's like just
I've burnt out.
Completely burnt out. And do you ever feel like that?
Of course, man. Yeah. And look, it's one of those things, like I knew that obviously the more time and effort I put into something, you know, that's going to, you know, exponentially grow the business a lot quicker than if I just looked at it as a 9 to 5, which you can't do that. If you want to build a business to the scale I have.
You can't stop.
You can't, but at the same time, you got to look after yourself, because you can get to a point where you're burnt out. It's going to become counterproductive, even if you're still putting the time in. You know, those hours you're putting in aren't as effective as if you were fresh and feeling good and didn't have that
if
brain
your cup
fog.
is full. Like,
yeah, exactly right, man. So you got to make sure, and you do work that out pretty quick. You know, your body's going to tell you, like, stop, slow down, Billy, like you're going too hard. So then you got to go look and say, okay, well, what can I do less of? You know, what can I take away to give to this? And part of that could be, you know, yourself, like working on yourself, or having time for yourself, or having a break. So if that's missing from your schedule, I would say, like, make sure you can put that in. I
took off a day on, I think it was last Friday. I took the day off, and I was like, I'm gonna get up at 10 o'clock. I don't care, because normally I'm getting up at 5:45 in the morning, start the day, work. By the time I go to sleep, it'll be 12 o'clock after I finish editing. And it was just nice to have a day off. And like just that one day off in like a month or something, just recharged my batteries. And I was just like, all right, I feel good now. I feel good. I feel like I can work for another 12 hours straight.
Yeah, man, it's
important.
important.
I just needed it. And then the next day, one of my reels got like nearly 20,000 views.
Yeah. Definitely important to look after yourself. And like you pointed out, like you can get to a point where it's like, it doesn't matter how much you sit on your chair and try and think of something, like nothing's working like it should. So that's your body telling you, okay, well, Billy, you know, you're working too hard. Take a step back and have a break, because that 1 or 2 days off could mean your productivity over time, like once you're rested, is going to be like tenfold.
Exactly.
Rather than you trying to push through that phase of burnout.
Yeah.
And then you're not getting much done throughout the day.
Yeah,
So
I
once
agree.
you recognize that, then you can start to think and well, you start to value the importance of looking after yourself.
Optimum just levels of energy.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is that balance you need, and you work that out as you go. And yeah, I felt that a lot. You know, I was working day and night, basically 7 days a week for a whole year, and you know that's why the business went, you know, from nothing to where it did.
Oh, I saw it, man. You were constantly like giving away cards, throwing boxes everywhere,
Oh, it was
spinning the
nuts.
wheel all
It
the
was
time.
crazy, yeah.
People just
Not sustainable.
No, it's not. But like, I'm sure people would have bloody appreciated it, and that's why you've grown the channel so well as well. Like, I was like, God damn.
Well, yeah, I did get a lot of output then, and I was fresh because I took so much time off of work. I had those 2 or 3 years that I did take off, so I was ready to go and dive into something. But yeah, I did hit my threshold, I hit my limit. I did pull back a bit when I had to. But yeah, look, I think it's important to recognise that and don't push through burnout, because it's just going to result in even more burnout.
And on top of that, you'll just have a shit performance.
Yeah, you won't. You definitely won't perform like you should. So it definitely gets counterproductive. So yeah, once you recognise that, again, it's all about, you know, finding that balance and tweaking things along the way. And yeah, look, I've recognised that now. I've taken a bit of a step back in terms of how much time I put into the business. And again, like, you know, relationships around you do suffer as well. So
yeah.
That's another thing you don't want, because you don't want people. You want to have time for the people in your life.
That's right. People do exist.
Exactly right.
Yeah, sometimes we can forget.
Yeah, it's something that you forget, but you can just, you know, when things are going, you don't want to lose momentum.
That's the best way to put it. Yeah. That's the best way to put it. And you'll get stuck in this grind because the momentum's so good, and then before you know it,
you just lost everything. No, it's not that bad. But anyway, funny, yeah. I just think that, what's the word for it?
You wake up and no one's there. Nah.
I hope it doesn't get to that. But
definitely.
You definitely have to pull back when you do get to that point. And I've learned that firsthand. And I think that's just part of growing and the experience, I guess.
Yeah, same here. Building a community is crucial. How has engaging with fellow enthusiasts influenced your journey?
So yeah, that's the biggest thing, and that's why I think a lot of people fail especially in my industry, because you can build a website, you can run ads, you can do all that stuff, but when you got a finite product and trying to do paid ads without building a community or like recurring customers, well, once you sell out, you know, that ad spend could amount to more than what money you've made, especially when margins were thin. You know, not too long ago when we didn't have this boom. So like I realized, you know, building that community was key to fostering, you know, a good foundation, you know, in order to have people, recurring customers without a cost. You know, it's free to have a page. It's free to build, you know, communities like that. So yeah, it's just a lot of work. So people want the shortcut. You know, people think I can just spend money here and I'm going to get results. It doesn't work that way.
Not in this day and age.
It doesn't work at all. So, but yeah, that's a part of growing. But I'm lucky that I knew that early on, and I knew that, you know, laying the foundation and putting in that work early on is going to pay dividends later. And I also knew that a bull market was coming. Yeah. And I spoke about that a lot throughout when people, you know, probably thought that, what's this guy on? I hadn't yet proved myself. People didn't know who I was, or I didn't have the credentials, you know, according to them, because I'm someone new. And, you know, going back to what you're saying before, and that takes time to build that that recognition. Yeah. And again, I don't do content to be right, but I just want to show people what I see and how I look at markets, and, you know, how that influences the decisions I make, and how I prepare for things in the future. And yeah, a lot of the things I did say come to fruition, and then then people start to listen. So that's a process as well. So
yeah, well, they've got to go through that, and then because like you and I were talking about all this, like the bull market that kind of came years ago. Yeah, I was like, oh, bro, it's going to be a crash. Everything's going to be stuffed. And then you're like, no, not yet, bro. Not yet. It's coming, but not at the time that you think. Yeah. And then everything's been kind of sweet.
Yeah. And again, I think that's sort of designed for people to feel fear and make the wrong decisions. And that's, you know, I used to be one of them. I used to be in that.
It's different parts of that cycle. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. It's the different parts of the cycle. We've got the graph here. Actually, I can bring that up.
So what I did with this one though, like, and again, this is like the experimental stuff I do. So I've overlaid the land cycle, which is around an 18.5-year cycle. Yep. And I put like catalysts of, Pokemon events that's happened throughout, and you can see what happened, with the C19 crash. I've also got like our interest rates down below there. That's the federal fund rate in America, which is what I like to concentrate on because they're the biggest market. So
Yep.
But you can see the correlation there and the events that occur before the ups and downs.
You can move the mouse to talk about it too.
Yeah,
if you want to point at the different angles.
We can see here, like, I'll just go through it quickly. Like, Pokemon Go was a pretty big deal at the time. It came in 2016. Then you had X-Y Evolutions, which was a pretty nostalgic set. It was basically a reprint of base set cards. So you had this going on, and then you had a bit of an uptick in Pokemon here and a lot of uptick in interest. So obviously that's going to bring, what I said before, more people to the hobby and speculators. And then you get this event. Again, we don't know what it's going to be. But if you go back...
The virus.
We didn't know what it was, but there's always a mid-cycle slowdown, whatever it was. And again, it was a bit of a black swan thing with the virus.
That was a good time to buy Bitcoins. But
everyone was running away from it. And even the media would tell you, like, don't buy Bitcoin. The banks, are against it.
And at the same time, JP Morgan was buying the Bitcoin. It's been proven.
Tell you that. Yeah, exactly right. So that's always like,
I bought around there,
Well, they always tell you to look one way and what's going on in the other
direction.
You
do whatever they say you don't
really
do.
Know. Exactly, yeah.
It's just
contrary.
How it works.
It's contrary trading is what, you can probably
100%.
best call it. But yeah, I like to put this and overlay it on a big cycle like that. You can see this marks the recession here, this grey dot, which was the C19.
Yep.
But yeah, like this land cycle graph's been like that for a long time. I didn't make this. This is just something that exists.
Yep.
And yeah, then you can see like we had the crash. This is probably a very good time to buy a lot of assets. And then you had the big Logan Paul video on his base set when you had mass government stimulus.
Is he when he? Yeah, that's right. Mass government stimulus. They're pumping out all the money. Everyone's cashed up. And then is that when he had the thing around the chain?
That come after.
Okay,
but this was the first time that Logan Paul really
did anything
put
with
himself
Pokemon cards
on a big social platform and did a huge event like a first edition base set opening, which is a pretty big deal.
Yep.
And the way you market it, so that got at the time when I did this 8.1 million views, which is a lot. But yeah, that was kind of also a catalyst amongst the government handing out money to most of the people that got the money were spending it on stuff that they enjoy. And some of them spent it on Pokemon cards.
That's right.
And then when prices go up, it brings the speculators in. And you had this big, peak, especially in vintage. And then you get the wind down. So, when you want to put an event to this, that's when probably the government started talking about, all right, there's no more money now. I'm going to start raising rates because, inflation's getting out of control.
Yep.
So then you get a drawback. And you can see that with Pokemon. And then this phase here is what is like a recovery phase. Like even though the chart's going up, but this is recovery, yeah. It's not dramatic like what we're getting here.
No.
And you can see the build-up. Like 151, again, nostalgia, which is very like, evolutions,
Yep.
Pocket, same with Pokemon Go. So you're getting like a repeat of similar events at the same sort of time in the cycle. So
interesting.
Yeah, that's where I like to look at this. And obviously I've always said to you, 2026 is when we're going to get a big crash. It's funny that we're talking today because we just had a huge
tariff
war and correction in the stock market yesterday. So, yeah, look, all these events happen. We don't know exactly what it's going to be, but I think there is some merit in doing something like this. And yeah, all through this phase, I was telling my community that I was buying, or whenever I made the page, but I was buying all this time because I knew I got stuck a lot here. I learnt my lesson here, and then I'm like, I'm going to do it different this time, and I'm going to tell people about it. So that's basically what I did.
Free education, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's free content.
Yeah,
and it's better than people just saying, "Oh yeah, I've got a hinge," or "Oh, I've got a thing," but then they're just shilling on behalf of someone else.
Yeah, there's no like basis on what they're saying. They're just basically guessing or telling people when it's too late. So like what I do helps you prepare well in advance. Like I was telling people for a long time what I'm doing. And again, I'm not telling you to go buy stuff. I'm not telling you go copy me because
it's not financial advice, guys.
Well, it isn't, but I say it in a way where it's like, this is what I'm doing and this is why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Now it's up to you, to learn what I'm telling you and then make a plan.
You can apply it if you want.
Yeah, because your situation is different to mine.
That's right.
We've got different amounts of money or different goals on what we want to do with our investments or our Pokemon collection journey, whatever your goal is, but you can still apply the same principle that I'm trying to, teach people or show people what I'm doing. And, the people that did look at my work, a lot of people did make really good decisions. And I got a lot of nice messages thanking me, like, I'm glad that you
I'm
did
glad
that, and
you're
I'm
in
glad
my
that you
life.
dragged me into the
Thank you.
Patreon you did. So like, and you obviously get the people that want to say the negative stuff, and that comes with the territory.
Look, it comes with everything, Like I don't sit and read my comments. I don't read the comments.
I like to read it, but I don't give it any. If people want to be negative, I just laugh it off because look, I'm not here to judge anyone on why you would even think about doing that in the first place, but. I don't let it affect.
That's
myself.
That's the most important thing. Don't let it affect you.
It doesn't.
In your heart, if you're doing the right thing and you're not like doing anything bad.
But it's important to laugh. So some of them do give me a laugh. So.
Oh, of course, of course, you can use it as fuel.
Yeah. That's it.
There's like a TikTok that I put up, and then it's gone like viral about the flat earthers and stuff. And there's like hectic comments. There's like a comments war. And everyone keeps telling me, they're like, don't read the comments. I'm like, I'm not even going to read the comments. But I'm like, is it anything about me? They're like, nah, it's just like people are going crazy at each other. I'm like, it's good then. I don't care.
It's engagement.
It's engagement.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I had like an extra 200 followers like in a couple of days. So,
well, yeah, your job is to have, both sides of the coin come together and give their opinion. Like that's what you're there. You're like a bit of a mediator, but
correct.
I'm the same in the sense that people are going to agree or disagree with me, but I don't go out there saying like, listen to me, I'm right and you're wrong.
No,
I just go in the sense, this is what I'm doing. Like, don't copy me, but I just like to share what I'm doing because it's different, something
100%.
Something fresh that no one's really done before. And if you want to watch it or listen, like go for it. If you don't worry about it. Just go on with your life and like I don't exist. That doesn't bother me.
100%. Any memorable interactions with fans or customers that stand out?
Definitely, man. And it's not like I wouldn't even call them fans or anything. Like they've become friends. Like you meet a lot of good people on your journey, whether it be other store owners, whether it be customers that have become close friends or even like moderators of my page because we've interacted more and I've begun to like trust these people to be a part of, my journey. So,
what about Manny? You trust him?
Manny, yeah.
What a done, Manny. What a done.
Yeah.
What a done. He's the sickest cunt.
Yeah. So, no, definitely, man. And that's, I think, half the fun. It's the people you meet. It's, those people that come into your life at the time because, one, they're interested in what you're doing. We have common interests. So, friendships start, relationships happen. And like, again, whether they're in your life for that time or they stay there forever, again, it's not about that. But you still value and cherish every moment that you create when you're doing stuff like this.
It's a beautiful thing. And it's
is.
like it's your community.
It
you
is.
created it.
Well, I fostered that, and it's the seeds growing and it's flourishing. And again,
it's a beautiful thing, man.
It's something you can't really plan for. You just welcome whatever comes and you deal with it. And that's part of myself. Or part of growing myself anyway. Like I like the challenge. I don't back away from anything. I like to, push the boundaries, and that's what I do. Whether it's going to piss people off or not, it's
100%.
I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for me.
Yeah, well, that's it. 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
So, in terms of the cycle, right? Utilizing WD Gann's astrological cycles. How do you think that these Pokemon market cycles align with Gann's principles? And in 2026 to 2030, how do you see everything playing out for cards, for specifically trading card games?
Yeah, with the astrological stuff, and again, I study Gann to an extent, but I think that's got to do with more of how people feel at certain times when aspects, align, or it could be, even full moon events. I'm sure a lot of people will bring up when there's more arrests or people fighting on a full moon, there's more hospital visits, all that sort of stuff. A lot of people admit it, like people go a bit crazy. So even when, certain things align, I think it's got a lot to do with sentiment.
Market sentiment.
So, I think that's probably more of what I would focus on in terms of Pokemon because it's data wasn't always collected, so it's very hard to go back far enough to have enough data to compile, but you can definitely bring that in with sentiment at the time. And that's, like Gann's, he's shown that with, stock markets, back when he was alive and doing charts, that there's a lot of things you can sort of discover with that stuff, and a lot of stuff does work. And again, it's not about believing in stuff. It's not about, who's right or wrong. It's applying something that you've discovered or that you've learned And if it's effective, then you're going to keep using it. If it's not, then you're going to throw it away. So that's like part of what I'm doing now. Like there's still so much to uncover that no one's really looking at Pokemon in that sense or trading cards. So like we're very scratching the surface in terms of, the data that's now being compiled and collected and put it out there. So it's very early days in that sense. So I'll continue to sort of work with certain stuff in that aspect. But in terms of the future,
there's a big drop on that graph.
Yeah, well, that's
2026.
Yeah, so again, that big drop, I think, is going to come. That's going to be basically the global financial crisis time of the market. The 07, 08 big crash.
Yep.
But I think this time is going to be more in line with what happened around 100 years ago.
Is that
with the Great Depression?
The 20s, the Roaring 20s, followed by the...
So you had the Roaring 20s. We're in the 20s now. There's a bit of correlation there.
Yeah.
And then you've got the big depression crash where you had pretty high unemployment, a huge, crash in the stock markets. We didn't have Pokemon cards back then, but...
No, we didn't. But then also the unemployment can kind of like, we can potentially correlate that to AI coming in and a lot of people losing their jobs, and then there being unemployment again.
Yep.
So
no, we're definitely shifting in that sense. That's becoming a bit more prominent in the workplace, and it's slowly creeping in. So it's only a matter of time before it starts taking more jobs. So again, I don't want to speculate too much, and I believe these cycles will play out regardless. But yeah, I think this one could be a big one. So, and that could have something to do with it for sure. If people lose their job and they got nothing to come back to because something else has taken over that's not a human. Well, it's going to decrease the amount of jobs, isn't it?
Of course, that's some serious thing. If you got to pay a mortgage off and you've got to come up with like, $3 or $4 grand a month to keep your house, and you've just lost your job, and you're going to lose your house, that's like a serious economic situation. And if you multiply that by how many jobs there are that could potentially be replaced by AI in the next 5 years, then you've got serious problems ahead.
It's catastrophic, man.
Yeah.
And that's why I like to look at this stuff. So even like Pokemon aside, if you're a homeowner or you got a mortgage, and again, a lot of people don't look at this stuff because they're too consumed in their life, whatever issues or whatever things they got going on or whatever's on the news or whatever they want to fight about or debate about. So no one really looks at this stuff.
Until it's too late.
Until it smacks them in the face. But, you can look at this from 2012 and be like, all right, if this is something along the lines of what it goes like, well, I've got a lot of time to plan, what I'm going to do for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
So like, this is why I think this stuff's really powerful. And I made decisions based on my, knowledge of this with my last home. So I built a home in 2020.
Yep.
Through the C19 things, house prices went up a lot.
Yep.
So within 13 months, I'd made a fair bit of money if I sold my house, and I still had really, really low interest rates.
Yeah.
And the writing on the wall for me was there that they're going to go up. And once they start talking about it,
if you start off from a base of zero,
when you're starting from nothing, it's only going to go up. And
Exactly.
when I knew that was going to come, I'm like, well, I've got a good opportunity now to not pay capital gains because it was my home.
Yep.
Make a lot of money. Yeah,
Fantastic.
because I wasn't tied to my house, and I love to travel, and I've always been like that sort of person at heart.
Yeah.
So I made a decision, that's going to really impact my life in a huge positive way to sell the house. And that's when I did the travel and, come back and started the business. But because of my knowledge of that, I'm like, well, yeah, like I did a really smart thing. And if I was
That
just
was super
delirious,
smart, man.
yeah.
That was super smart. I'd be like losing it in winter and it would be locked down. I can't leave 5 kilometers. I'll call you. You're like on a sunny beach with the fucking pina colada. Be like, Billy, what's going on? I'm just eating fresh fruit, bro, with my shirt off, getting a tan. I'm like,
Yeah, well,
what the
it was definitely, it was
You
definitely
lucky
a good
bastard.
decision. Yeah. And again, look, I could be wrong. I'm not saying that, all this stuff's foolproof and, all this stuff's going to play out exactly like I say it is.
We're just doing what we can with the information that
Well,
we
it's
have.
the probabilities, man, and I'm going to play my odds, like life could be a gamble in the sense, but, if you're 70-80% chance, to make a decision that's going to, impact your life in a positive way, I'm going to take that.
Pretty good chance,
they're pretty
yeah.
good odds. So
Yeah, fucking know.
that's what I did with that. And yeah, this work that I'm doing now with trading cards is just, again, something that I enjoy, and I like putting the stuff out there in the best way I can. Again, I'm still new to all this stuff.
Yeah.
Content creation is nothing I did in the past. So I'm enjoying that journey.
new
I'm enjoying,
journey.
learning that new skill and watching that develop within myself, because I can apply this to anything. Like content creation can be used, through my next business if I decide to do something that's
Correct.
not Pokemon and it's something mobile. So
Well, since I've learned content creation with this podcast, I've been implementing it on my other businesses too, like all my painting and
exactly.
stuff like that. So it's like, and I've gotten better throughout the board with making content.
Exactly.
And
Practice makes perfect, man.
Exactly.
That's never been so much true. Like it's something I live by, you know, like you can't expect us to be good at something off the bat. If you don't put the hours in there, if you don't make the mistakes and all that time that you put in there, like that's what molds you into, you know, becoming really good at something.
I think people forget that failure is actually just winning in disguise.
It's just a lesson, man.
It's a lesson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And failure can power you to eventually win. It's just you can't give up.
Well, it builds resilience for one. Two, you learn from mistakes, or you hope that you do, so that the next time you come to a situation where that, you know, you made the wrong decision, you're not going to do that again.
That's right.
So that's just one step closer to getting to your goals. So yeah, look, I'm not afraid to fail.
No.
But a lot of people are, which is what stops people from doing things that, you know, they might talk about or imagine and whatever they, you know, want to do in life, and they just never eventuates because they're just too scared. So yeah, like even if I can empower people in that sense, you know, by watching my stuff or following my story, like that's for me a win.
All right, today. So where could we find you if people want to find you, want to look for you, or hunt you down? Where can they find you?
Yeah, so Facebook, Cardonomics Facebook group. If you just search Cardonomics, YouTube and Instagram's Cardonomics33, I believe. TikTok Cardonomics, Discord as well. We've got an exclusive Discord community. So yeah, I've got a bit of different things on different platforms for everyone. So yeah, I'm pretty sure you'll find me just by Cardonomics anyway.
Beautiful. Google search Cardonomics. I'm sure you'll find everything.
That's it.
Well, thanks for coming on, man. It's been like epic chat. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
No, bloody oath. Appreciate you having me on.
No, thank you, man. And we'll definitely do it again soon. And
anytime.
And yeah, I hope your business goes to leaps and bounds in the future, and everything just keeps chugging along well.
Appreciate it. Same to you, man. Appreciate you inviting me onto the podcast and into your home, man. It's been awesome.
Thanks for coming, Cheech.
Easy, Billy.
Cheers.
Cheers,
Thank you,
man.
guys. Thank you for watching. See you, everybody. Bye.